everybody, and welcome to Storm Reads. And today I'm going to do a wrap up of the last week in May. There's still a couple of days, but I know I'm not going to get a book read. I'm kind of taking a little bit of a break before I start my June TBR. I did the book a day in May, and so reading 31 books, I'm kind of needing just kind of relax. I did the 31 books before the end of the month, and so I figured that meant I could take a couple of days off. So yeah, so I figured I might as well just go ahead and talk about the rest of the books that I've read for this month, and then I'll make another video and do a wrap up of like the whole month and kind of just give a little short rundown of all the books. I won't go into detail or anything, and just give some stats and stuff, and that way you can just see all 31 books that I read. So let's just get into it. And so the first book I'm going to talk about is an audiobook that I listened to, and it's Murder on Lexington Avenue by Victoria Thompson, and this is number 12 in the Gaslight Mystery series. It's also a book that's on my Serious About Series challenge, so it was nice to knock another book off of that. And this one is about Detective Frank Malloy, who he's brought in to investigate a death that's not in his jurisdiction, and he finds out the reason why is because the businessman who was killed has a deaf daughter, and everybody knows that Frank has a deaf son, so they figure, I guess, that he might be better off to try to solve what happened and everything. And when he gets into finding out what's going on and everything, he finds out that the guy's wife is pregnant, and nobody knew about it. And he only knew about it because right at that moment, whenever he's trying to like interview her, her water breaks, and everybody's like kind of freaking out. And so he has somebody send for Sarah Brandt, which is the midwife, and she is his friend and always the one that's always getting into his investigations and solving them. And so he decides that he knows he can trust her, so he sends for her. And so she helps the wife deliver her baby. And he also thinks that maybe they would be more inclined to talk to her because she helped with the situation. And so kind of enlist her to help him with the investigation. Most of the time he wants her to stay away from things, but this time he kind of needs her help a little bit. And I really liked this one. It was really good. I gave it 4 stars. This is like one of my favorite historical cozy mystery series, and so I can't wait to get to the next one. And then the next audiobook that I listened to was Read and Buried by Eva Gates, and this is the number 6 in the Lighthouse Library series. And it'd been a while since I had read this series, but this is also another one that's on my Serious About series, because I'm wanting to try to get through some of the cozy mystery series that I start and I don't seem to finish. And so this one is about the library at the end of the last, I kind of remember this a little bit, but the end of the book number 5, they find out that like the foundation in the library is kind of crumbling, and so they need to get it fixed. And so in this one, the library is fixing a part of the lighthouse that is crumbling. And while the people were digging down out to the foundation and stuff, they find a box. And in this box, there is a diary, and there's like a map and some coded text and papers and everything. So everybody's all abuzz with what it could be. Is it maybe that's a map to some treasure, or maybe the diary has some kind of really cool information and historical stuff about the town. And so all the historians and everybody is wanting to get involved with everything, and the library is trying to keep people away from it and trying to do their own thing. And they tell everybody that the next day they would like let them view it, but they wanted their librarian that kind of deals with the historical stuff to be there, and she wasn't there. But of course somebody can't wait for the next day, and so somebody breaks in, and whenever Lucy gets there, she finds, I think his name was Jeremy, and he is dead, and the box is there. The diary is still there, but the papers and like I think the map and the codes and stuff are missing. And so Lucy has to try to figure out what happened and who might have first off, wanted him dead enough to kill him and take the stuff and all that kind of stuff. And he wasn't really a very nice man. And so there's a few people that could have done it. And I really liked it. I thought it was kind of interesting with the whole coded thing and how everybody was really pumped to try to figure out, what the coded message was. And they were trying to keep it secret, like the police didn't want it to get out, but it seems like it didn't matter. Like one person would tell somebody and then it would just branch out. Before you knew it, you had like a whole bunch of people trying to figure out the code. It was kind of funny. But yeah, I liked it and I gave it 4 stars. And then I read a middle grade book that I've always kind of been curious about, and I got this from the library, and it's called The Last Kids on Earth by Max Brailler. So it's The Last Kids on Earth #1. And it's about Jack, who's trying to survive a monster apocalypse and try to find his friend Quinn. And he wants to rescue a girl who doesn't like him, but he thinks needs rescuing because he likes her. And he finds out that she doesn't really need rescuing because she does pretty good on her own. And it was cute, and it's the first in the series. I probably will continue with the series to see what happens. It's just one of those, it's like just a super cute middle grade. I think I gave it 3 stars. It was decent. It had really fun illustrations in it that were a lot of fun, depicting Jack slaying monsters or doing all kinds of fun things. I like middle grade books with illustrations in them. I think it makes them like a lot more fun. That's why I liked it. Then the next book that I read was The Last Fallen Star by Gracie Kim, and I had this as an e-arc from NetGalley, and it was a Rick Riordan Presents novel, and this is the first in the Gifted Clans, and this one is about Riley, who is adopted, and her adopted family is part of the Gifted Clans, and they are called Golems, which are healers. And she hates that she feels so different because she doesn't have a gift and everybody else in her family does. And her sister is getting ready to be initiated into the clan, and they have these bracelets called a G, I think that's what it's called. And before they get initiated, they can use their bracelet with their parents' permission, so like they don't get to keep it. They can like practice for their initiation and stuff as long as a parent is watching what's going on. But whenever they get initiated, then that means they get to keep the G for them to use always. And so her sister's about to get initiated, and they find out that there is a spell that they can use to share your magic. And so she's decided that as soon as she gets initiated, she is going to try to share her magic with Riley so that they can both have magic. And Riley goes along with this because she really wants to have some magic and to be like everybody else. And things don't go quite according to plan. They are told they can't do it for certain reasons, which I can't say because spoilers. And then that makes them decide to try to contact this ancient person, and I can't remember who it is or what her name was, Maga something. Anyway, they want to talk to her and ask her if Riley can get these gifts and stuff, and they have to do this spell, and things don't go according to plan. It's an illegal spell to begin with, and they probably didn't know exactly what they were doing going into it, and so Hattie ends up unconscious, and Riley is afraid. She don't know what to do and everything. And then all of a sudden there's this old lady that shows up, and she is I think it's the clan bear goddess, which is their goddess for the healers that they are. I think that's what her name was. And she comes there and she's talking to Riley, and she tells her that she can help with bringing Hattie back, but she needs to do something for her, and the thing that she wants her to do is she needs to go and find the last fallen star. So that's where the adventure starts, and Riley, along with her friend Emmett, they decide to go and try to find this last fallen star, which they have absolutely no idea where to start, but they do start their adventure in a certain place, and then it takes them from one place to another and everything. And it was just a fun adventure, like fantasy adventure story for kids, and I think young readers would enjoy it. I think adults would probably enjoy it as well, and I am interested in seeing what's going to happen in the next one. It ends well enough to where it's not like super like cliffhangery or anything, so it's not like one of those I need this book like right away. So I like that. I don't like it when it's like leaves you hanging. I don't like that. Anyway, I gave this one 4 stars. And then the next book I read was an audio book, and it's Lethal Licorice by Amanda Flowers, and this is the second book in the Amish Candy Shop Mystery Series, and this is about Bailey, who is entering the Amish confectionery competition, and she's competing it in the place of her grandfather, and not everybody likes the fact that she's not Amish, because even though her grandparents are Amish, she wasn't raised Amish. Her father opted to not be Amish and everything, so she knows everything about like the Amish traditions and stuff like that, but she's not Amish. But she has kind of put her life on hold to come and help her grandmother with the candy shop, and she wants to do this competition in honor of her grandfather, and some of them aren't real happy about that, and one of the very vocal ones about that, her name was Josephine, I think. Anyway, she ends up dead, and she ends up dying from the fact that she's allergic to licorice, which it was kind of interesting because she's entering this candy competition and the first round was licorice, but she has an assistant, and pretty much the assistant is the one that does the licorice round for them and everything because she's allergic to it. But anyway, she's found, and where she's found, there is a young girl, which I can't remember her name, Charlotte or something like that. But Bailey finds out that she's actually related to that young lady, and she's having kind of an emotional trauma about deciding whether she wants to be Amish or she doesn't want to, because she likes to play the piano, and she doesn't see why or not piano, but the organ, and she doesn't see why she can't do that to be Amish. She doesn't understand why she can't do that, and so she's in the mix of trying to figure out what she wants to do. Josephine is related to her, and she's, kind of one of the ones that is giving that young girl trouble. So it looks like maybe she could have been the one that might have killed her, but then it also looks like, Bailey could have been the one. And so, of course, Bailey's going to have to investigate and figure out what happened. And I really enjoyed it. It also had Jethro the pig, who was missing through the whole thing, and it was giving me a little anxiety because I was worried about the pig. But I like the pig. He's cute and everything. But I really enjoyed this series so far. I can't wait to get to the next one in this one, which I may end up getting to next month. We'll see if I have time. And anyway, so I gave this one 4 stars as well. So I had a pretty good reading week, actually. Then the next book that I have is called Gallows View by Peter Robinson. And this is #1 in the Inspector Banks series. And I just kind of tried this one on the, I was looking at, I think it was BritBox, and it had this show called Banks, DCI Banks, and it said that it was based on a book series. And so, of course, I had to, check out the book series first. And I thought it was okay. This series, I think, started in like the 80s, so I mean it's a little dated, but it's about Inspector Banks, who moves to the countryside to kind of get away from a lot of crime, because I think he's from London and everything, but that doesn't work out quite so well because he ends up having to work on like 3 different crimes at once. So I thought it was just a little busy for a first book in the series. You've got there's a peeping Tom, and then a woman is murdered, and they're not sure if it's connected to the peeping Tom or if it's something separate. And then there is also a rape that takes place and everything. And are all 3 of these connected in some way, or are they separate? And DCI Banks and his team has to try to, figure it all out and everything. And it was pretty decent. I gave it 3 stars. I just thought it was super busy. I think probably one of my favorite characters was DCI Banks's wife. And I thought it was kind of cool that she was kind of involved in the series, because a lot of times they're just kind of like off to the side, like you know that they might be married, but then you don't really hear a lot about them. But the Peeping Tom actually peeped at his wife, so and it was kind of interesting how that kind of got involved that way. And so I mean, I enjoyed it, and I probably will try another one in the series. Maybe not right away, but I enjoyed it enough that I gave it 3 stars. And then the last book is an audio book, and it's Murder Between the Lines. It's by, I probably will butcher this, Radha Vatsal, and it's the Kitty Weeks #2, and this is about Kitty Weeks, who is a reporter for a local paper, and it's set in the time period where women aren't allowed to work at like a regular newspaper. It's set during kind of like the suffragette movement, and this young woman dies not long after Kitty had talked to her about some things, and she's just not buying the fact that this lady died by sleepwalking and, you know, something happened to her. She thinks the death is a little suspicious. Her father doesn't want her getting involved, but she does it anyway, and she finds out that it has something to do with battery that Thomas Edison had invented, and maybe it's not working right, and it has something to do with submarines and things like that. And she's beginning to think that maybe there was a reason that the girl was killed, and that's why she wants to get in and investigate and everything. And I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars, and I'm a little bummed because this had potential to be like a really good series, but there's only 2, and this one was from 2017, so it doesn't look like this author is going to do anything else with it. A matter of fact, I think these are the only 2 books that the author has, so I don't know what happened, but it had potential to be a really good series, and I'm kind of bummed. But I gave that one 4 stars too. And so there you have it. That's all the books that I read within this last week of May. I'm really happy that I managed to make it through 31 books. That's the most I've ever read in a month. And I kind of pushed myself a little bit, and I felt like all I was ever doing was either listening or reading. And so that's why I'm thinking, you know, take a couple of days off before I hit another TBR, because I do have a readathon next month that I'm wanting to be involved in, and I have some books that I really would like to get to. So just taking a little break, and I will be back soon with my June TBR, so you can see what all that is about. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.